Hello, Nope Coach Fam Bam. Welcome to episode 52. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg, and this one is a request. So the topic today is what to do when the usual numbing activities don't bring relief. Before I dive in, I just want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Definition. I want to give a definition to what I mean by numbing activities. So often when we are feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, burnt out, emotions are really, really high, in an attempt to deal with that, to self-soothe, to calm down, many of us numb, distract, push down our emotions with something such as food, like overeating, drinking, gambling, shopping, like something that in the moment that you're doing it, brings some form of relief, often has long-term consequences that we don't want to deal with, like overeating can lead to weight gain, over drinking, health detriments, gambling, debts, these sorts of things. But in the moment that we do it, brings us some form of relief. So the person who wrote in, thank you so much. And for anyone listening, if you have a topic you would like me to discuss, send me an email, info@suzannekohlberg.com. I will respond to every email myself. I respond to them. I'm not guaranteeing I'll do a podcast on them, but I do appreciate suggestions. And when I have enough of them or I see a theme, and this one's becoming a theme, it's like, what happens when I stop? Like, it's not helping me anymore. This is actually really common. It's much more common than we think, especially when we start working on it. So say, for example, you're overeating. So you decide you're going to tackle that by eating more nourishing food, or you're currently a couch potato and you want to bring more movement or exercise into your life. The thing that you do to avoid feeling too numb, which may be overeating, maybe overwatching TV, sitting on the couch. When you stop doing that thing, the feelings that you were pushing down are going to surface. And sometimes we then meet those needs in other ways. So you could go from overeating to over shopping. Suddenly Amazon Prime is your best friend, or over scrolling, or gossiping, or overworking, or doing some other form of over in an attempt to numb. And sometimes, it's very common, especially the clients that I work with, nothing's working, Suzanne. I'm going from thing to thing. I'm not feeling any relief. It's part of the cycle of healing. Like, we need to feel in order to heal. If we haven't felt for so long, we've used these behaviors to avoid feeling, to numb our feelings, then we're going to start feeling them. So it's part of the process. It's totally common to start feeling. Like, if you're an emotional eater, or you eat to avoid your emotions and you stop overeating, the emotions are still there. So it's the word two-pronged attack comes to mind, but I don't mean it, like it's a battle or anything. But, this is not necessarily a bad thing. So it's finding tools and techniques to feel the feelings, to process the emotions. Because what is an emotion? Energy in motion in your body. When you numb, when you shove it down, when you avoid, it becomes stuck. And sometimes those emotions can show up on the physical when we avoid them enough and we have stagnant and stuck energy. So it's working with tools to start moving through the emotions. That's something I do with my clients. It's something I do in Why Wait. Becoming aware of that. There's things like, journaling. And it's often the hardest thing is to journal when you are feeling this unrest, this unruliness. It's like turning, what it's like? Turning on the light in a messy room. I'm just thinking, you turn on the light, you see the dishes in the sink and the dirt and the mess, and you've got two choices there. You could just turn the light back off and be oblivious again. So go back to numbing out, find another form of numbing, eat more, drink more, scroll more. Or you can be like, okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to realize I'm not going to be able to tackle all of this tonight. I'm not going to be able to deal with, if you haven't turned on the light in a while and you've just been randomly throwing dishes in the sink, it's going to be a process. And understanding that, by numbing in the moment, it's, what's that saying? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. You are taking from one area to put in another area. Eventually, the jig's going to be up. The game's going to be up. So when the usual numbing activities don't bring relief, I believe it's a great sign that you're ready. Your subconscious, unconscious is signaling you, I'm ready to start working with this. And I'd recommend hiring a coach. I'd love to welcome you to work with me. I do one-on-one. I also do Why Wait. You can check out my website for all the information about that, or someone else that you've followed. If that is out of the budget for you at the moment, listening to these podcasts, and instead of just listening and going, oh, that was nice, and moving on your merry way, I often ask questions. Take those questions to your journal. Work through it, because transformation comes from taking action, not just absorbing. Sometimes we think, I listen to these people all the time. I read their posts. I read their newsletter. I'm on their list. What action are you taking? What did you get from that podcast? How has that podcast changed you by you taking that information and actioning it? I run a group coaching call once a month at the moment. It's called Get Coached. It's 22 Australian dollars. Come to that and talk about what actions you've taken as a result, or where you've gotten stuck, or what you've uncovered. But, the usual numbing activities, when they're not bringing relief, it's a sign that you're ready to start transitioning away from these numbing things. And the fears and the uncertainties and the unsuredness, I don't know if that's a word, but it is now, will start to come up. That is okay. Talk to people. If you've got a friend who's on a personal development journey with you, discuss it with them. Recommend this podcast to a friend. Listen to the episodes together, go through them, talk about the actions that you took. Write in your journal. Notice. Like, observation is power. When we're aware of our patterns, then we can change them. When we numb, we're not being observant. We are, in the void. And then we can't see, the forest from the trees. So when the usual numbing activities aren't working, it isn't the time to double down. It isn't the time to look for others. It's the time to go, actually, I'm ready to feel it. I'm ready to heal it. It's time to transform. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable. It's often very uncomfortable. But in the words of Glennon Doyle, you can do hard things. Hope this has been helpful. The next Get Coached is coming up on the 22nd of June, and there's still spaces available. So if you go to the website, suzannekohlberg.com, click on resources, click on Get Coached, come along to that. Or if you're ready for Why Wait, we start in October. But if you're listening to this before the 2nd of July, there was 10 spots available. I think there's 6 remaining. We've got the Mighty 90 kicking off on the 2nd of July. This is the daily action. This is the work. I almost said this is the way. The Mandalorian, this is the way. But actually taking action, small actions each day to bring, big ass changes. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.